the Amateur Fanboy Podcast. We have a great interview guest today, Chase Senior from Chat Sports. He covers the NFL and NBA there. Chase, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm pumped to talk some ball with you. I'm excited to be on. Even better, we have the same first name. I mean, what are the chances of that? So two Chases talking NFL draft.
Well,
Is there anything better than that?
no, I don't think so. And I think the headline for this video when we post it is going to be pretty easy. It's a Chase on Chase. Yeah,
Dude,
so there you go.
chasing it
Uh,
down, man. That's it.
yes, sir. So before we kind of get into the NFL, I kind of want to ask you, what's your background? Like, how'd you get started? Like, where'd you start at?
Yeah, so I grew up right outside of Philadelphia in Westchester, Pennsylvania. And I kind of knew at a young age that I wanted to get involved in sports broadcasting. One of my idols was Harry Callis back in the day. He was the Phillies play-by-play announcer, one of the greatest to ever do it. So from a young age, I knew that I wanted to get into sports broadcasting. So throughout my childhood, in high school, college, I was very involved with trying to do that. So I went to Temple University in Philly. And while I was there, wrote for the school newspaper, hosted a few radio shows per week at the student-run radio station WHIP, anchored and hosted some shows on Temple TV, had internships at NBC Sports Philadelphia, as well as 97.5 The Fanatic, one of the sports talk radio stations down there, and was just very involved in kind of all aspects of broadcasting. I'm talking radio, print, and TV. And I kind of realized at a young age, especially at Temple, that this is what I want to do. I want to be a broadcaster. Can't play, want to talk about it. So that's why I put such an emphasis on getting those firsthand reps at Temple while I was there. And when I graduated in 2015, I took a job with a digital sports entity in Springfield, Illinois called Channel 1450. And I realized that the industry was headed in a digital direction. So I kind of wanted to go somewhere where I could learn about it in its infancy so that it could pay off later. So Channel 1450 was all digital content, but we were also owned by a media company that owned radio stations as well. So we were in the same building as a sports talk station. So in addition to getting on-camera experience as a sports reporter at 1450, also hosted some radio shows as well. Awesome experience there for 2 years. The Midwest is a great place with great people. And for me, great high school sports. Like they take it seriously in a way that a place like Texas does where I live now. So to be able to cover sports there was tremendous. I was there for 2 years. Then an opportunity came up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, my home state, 2 hours north of Philadelphia, with a news station called WNEP. And I was there for the last 3.5 years before Chat Sports as a news and sports reporter, kind of in a hybrid role. Again, the theme here, versatility, being open to do whatever I'm asked to do. So I did news and sports there, did some play-by-play and color commentating. And after 3.5 years, an opportunity popped up at Chat Sports. And I applied and moved down here in late February from Pennsylvania. And the experience here, it's off to a great start. I'm loving everything at Chat Sports. We're doing some great forward thinking and progressive things. And we already have a large audience. That audience is only going to grow larger. And to be able to talk about the NBA and NFL is something I've always wanted to do. Like that was the end goal from when I was a kid. It's like cover pro sports. I'm covering pro sports now. And to have a big audience, including you, that's how you reached out to me. It's a pretty neat experience. So Dallas, great city. Pumped to be here. It's an underrated and affordable city, which at this point in my life is great. You can have fun, have a job that you love, and also you can afford it. So, hey, life is good, man.
Yeah, well, you know what? I've actually thought about moving out to Dallas myself here in the near future. So it's good to hear you say that. It's good to hear someone kind of feeling the same vibes I'm feeling about Dallas. I think it's a great city. Obviously, as a Cowboys fan, I would love to live there. But
Hey,
so,
man, if you do, hit me up.
oh,
All
I
right.
will. Oh, I will definitely hit you up.
Cool.
So you're from Philly. So how does it feel? One more thing before we get into this, how does it feel to live in Dallas now from Philadelphia because obviously you're probably an Eagles fan, right?
So you won't meet people that are like a more diehard fan than I am.
Right.
Like, I absolutely love Philadelphia sports, and I'm not. I know I said that like nobody is more passionate about it. Of course, there are diehard fans out there, but like
Right.
Philadelphia sports have been such a huge part of my life, not just me wanting to talk about it. It's like a family tradition that is very close to my heart. So many memories growing up with my family watching Philadelphia sports games, highs, lows, tears, cheers. So many great memories with my friends. So like Philadelphia sports, huge part of my life. So to be down here, it's interesting. If you would have told me that I'd be living in Dallas when I was growing up, I would say there's no way. There's no way I can live in enemy territory
Right.
where the Cowboys call home and have any affiliation with anything that has to do with Jerry Jones.
Right.
Wouldn't have believed it, right? But in life, especially professionally, when you have dreams, goals, and aspirations, and you see a fantastic opportunity available, you'll kind of go wherever you have to go. I've also learned that at 29, hey, I like working. I like having fun. I have a business-like approach. I've always taken my craft very seriously. So to live in a place where I can do all of that, but also enjoy life and have quality of life, that's what Dallas has to offer. And you cannot beat the affordability. And honestly, like some of the freedoms here, you know, it's a very open-minded state, which I don't mind because I consider myself an open-minded and free thinker. So.
All right. Well, you know what? This is more turned into a let's talk about Dallas and how great it is to live in Dallas as opposed to an NFL podcast. But you know what? Hey,
We
it's
can
all
switch
good.
gears, man. We can switch gears.
No, I'm just giving you a hard time. I love the information. I'm going to take all that information with me here in the next couple of years when I think about moving out there. All right. So the NFL draft is about a little less than 3 weeks, about 20 days now. It's 3 weeks ago yesterday. It's getting closer. The Niners traded up to the number 3 pick with the Eagles, from 12 to the Dolphins with the. I gotta get this right. From 12 to 6 with the Dolphins, right? No.
So a 3-team trade.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it was a 3-team trade.
Yeah. 49ers go up from 12 to 3. Dolphins go back from.
There you go.
They go up from 12. They go up to 6, and the Eagles go back to 12.
There we go.
There
we go. That's right. So now with the 3rd pick, everyone's talking about Mac Jones. I don't know how you feel about this Mac Jones hype. If you think it might be Justin Fields instead, what are your thoughts on what the Niners might do at number 3?
Yeah, so I look at it in 2 ways. Like, there's over here, everybody's saying that Mac Jones is the guy. The Adam Schefters, the Chris Sims, the Dan Orlovskis, the Michael Lombardis, like these guys have been involved in football for a long time. They know a lot of people around the NFL. They have sources they're very plugged in. And they also analyze the game in a way where they say Mac Jones is the perfect fit for Kyle Shanahan. And hey, if you want to say that, you can say that. Maybe it's true, right? And Mac Jones last year put up tremendous numbers at Alabama. He was also protected by a fantastic offensive line. He was throwing to 3 first-round wide receivers. He had another first-round running back. And it was easy for him to put up a lot of numbers given that talent. He still did it up against some really good competition. I mean, elite competition in the SEC. They won a national championship. He was also had the benefit of being coached by Nick Saban. So, like, there are a lot of great things about Mac Jones. And I think that he reminds me a little bit of Joe Burrow last year. 2 guys who prior to the season started were looked at as mid to late round guys. They put up monster seasons. They both won national championships. And with that came a lot of hype. And the parallels are all there. So I don't think that Mac Jones is the athlete that Burrow is. I'm not sure he's as dynamic because I think Burrow is an underrated athlete, but Mac Jones, a lot of great qualities, and he seems to be a good fit in Kyle Shanahan's system because he thrived with Matt Ryan back in 2016 when he won an MVP. I just can't come to the point where it's going to be Mac Jones. Like, I just can't imagine a world where the 49ers, led by John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, 2 really smart, brilliant dudes, are going to sacrifice all those assets to move up to 3, to pick a quarterback in Mac Jones who really doesn't have like an enormous amount of upside, right? I mean, he kind of is what he is, like Jimmy Garoppolo. There's a ceiling there. With Justin Fields, like, I don't know if there's a ceiling, and I think the potential is enormous if you pair him with Shanahan and they're able to develop together over time. And I just think that if you move up to that point in the draft, like, you want to get a guy who is going to be great for the next 10 years and elite for the next 10 years, rather than the guy who's going to give you the best chance to win like in the next 5, but there's a little bit of a ceiling there because that just happened to Jimmy G. So
Right.
like everybody can say it's going to be Mac Jones, and if it is, won't be surprised at all. I just have a feeling it's going to be a guy like Justin Fields or Trey Lance, somebody who has explosive upside and potential, who if they get it right, they can be insane, right? So that's what I think is going to happen.
No, I agree 100%. I've thought that Justin Fields was going to be the pick the minute that I heard the trade was announced. I just cannot see Mac Jones being the pick that the Niners traded 2 or 3 first round picks to go up and get. It just I know Mac Jones is really good at what he does, but I just don't know that what Mac Jones does is what Kyle Shanahan wants his quarterback to be. And I like you said, he already did that with Jimmy Garoppolo. Why would he go and do that again? And not only that, give up 2 first round picks in the process when they could probably have maybe traded up only a couple spots, maybe with the Cowboys at 10 or even the
Exactly.
Broncos at 9, if they really wanted Mac Jones and given up less. Or they could have possibly even just stood at 12 and possibly Mac Jones would have fallen to them there as well. So I agree with a lot of what you're saying.
And here's the thing to add on to that too. Like, they just saw the Bears make the same mistake when they traded up from 3-2 to draft Mitchell Trubisky. And they didn't need to trade up and exhaust those resources because Trubisky wasn't going to be picked in the top 2. They panicked. They got bad info. They moved up for a player who they didn't need to move up for.
Yep.
And like, I just think John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are smarter than that. Like, I don't put them and group them with Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy. That's why the Mac Jones thing doesn't make a lot of sense. And if it is Mac Jones, this is what Kyle Shanahan is saying. He's like, look, I want the quarterback for my system who will best fit in my system. And if we get it right, we'll win a bunch of games and we'll make deep playoff runs and we'll compete for Super Bowls. I just need my system guy. But if I'm the GM, I'm like, we want the best guy, and
exactly.
build around him and still implement that system. So,
No, I agree 100%.
you know what this does, Chase? It makes the NFL draft fascinating because we know it's going to be Trevor Lawrence 1, probably Zach Wilson at 2. But if it's not, oh my gosh, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the rest of the first round, it's going to be messy. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be hectic. And that's exactly what we want.
And I would not, and I just talked to my buddy about this like a couple seconds ago. I still cannot believe that the Jets aren't at least considering Justin Fields at 2. It seems like he should at least be in consideration there, right?
I think he should too. And I'm not going to do the whole, well, he went to Ohio State.
Yeah.
No good quarterbacks have ever come from Ohio State.
No.
Justin Fields is different than the cats who have been at Ohio State. Okay.
Yes.
This is a different player. This is a different prospect. This is a different animal. I mean, he is legit in all phases, right?
Yeah.
But at what it comes down to, like, Lawrence is going to go 1. We don't even have to talk about it.
Yeah.
I think with Wilson, it's like Wilson, Fields, and Lance. If you get it right, we're talking about fireworks and explosive offenses for many years to come. It's all about fit. It's all about development. It's all about organizational structure. And whoever goes to the most uneasy environment, that's going to be the quarterback that fails.
Right.
I feel like whoever goes to San Francisco will be successful. I like the culture that the Jets are building, right? That's awesome. They can say what they want, but hey, to talk the talk, you got to walk the walk too, right? But if whichever organization sets the proper foundation and surrounds that quarterback with the best players, the best coaching, the best support, that's who will be successful. And at the end of the day, like, I think that's what it comes down to. But I do like Wilson because I think he's just a really explosive player. And like Fields and Lance, which is one long point here, the potential is enormous.
No, I agree. And you actually just kind of segued right into the next point, or right into the next talking point I was going to make. Of those top 10 picks, and you can assume to make picks like who you think might go here in your mock draft
Cool.
version. Who do you think is the best scheme fit or the best fit for the team that they would go to in this in your mock draft situation?
Wow, that's a good question. Are we talking like quarterbacks or just player?
Any player that can go in 10. Pitts, Fields, Wilson, any of those guys.
Yeah,
Surtain,
no, that's a
any of
great
them.
question, dude. I tend to look at the organization in which they're going. I think anybody who goes to San Francisco is going to be fine. If you go to the Jets, if you go to the Lions, hey, not a lot of success there. I like what Urban Meyer is doing in Jacksonville. I think that's like the perfect guy to come in after the franchise has been a joke for the last couple of years. They haven't had any long-term sustained success. They've actually drafted really well. They've gotten rid of all of these players. And it's actually it's kind of interesting that that franchise is in the spot that they are, right? But Urban Meyer is going to take over. He's going to establish his culture. This is a guy who's won like 80% of his games throughout his college career. He understands the college game right now because he just coached in it. I think he's built a good staff. And I look at like Lawrence going there as something that's really intriguing, something that could really work. You also have some nice weapons there, some good defensive pieces and cap space. And there's not a lot of pressure from the media market. So like, I think everything is there for Trevor Lawrence to have a lot of success. I love the possibility of Penei Sewell going to the Bengals. I think that's another one. Like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Joe Burrow and Joe Mixon, the thought of that excites me a lot. And I understand that like Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow 2 years ago, dude, if you go back and look at their numbers, they were filthy, like filthy. Joe Burrow threw for more than 50 touchdowns. I think Jamar Chase had 20 of them in a shortened college season because it's 12 games usually in a regular season instead of 16, which is that makes that number crazy. And I understand Chase going there as something that could really work and support Joe Burrow. But I think the most important emphasis for Cincinnati should be protecting him because he wasn't protected and he suffered a gruesome knee injury last year, a knee injury that honestly could affect him a lot this year. And Joe Burrow can show the flashes that he did a year ago. But if he is not protected, it's not good, and he doesn't have a chance, right? And he's coming off a major surgery. So I think the smart thing to do is to draft Penei Sewell if you're the Cincinnati Bengals, get a receiver in the second round, and that's when you really start building your foundation. Good wide receiver, good running back, a much better offensive line, and you got your quarterback if the knee is straight. So Penei Sewell, left tackle for the Bengals, would be a great pick at 5.
I agree with a lot of that. I would say if I had to add one player, I would say if Kyle Pitts, and I'm a Cowboys fan, so obviously, if Kyle Pitts went to the Cowboys at 10, that offense, I mean, I already love our offense this year, but that offense would be, I can't even put it into words. That offense would just be insane. But other than that, everything else you said is fantastic.
I was going off that question from fit, as you had said.
Yeah.
If we are talking about overall prospects, I see no reality and no world chase that Jamar Chase and Kyle Pitts bust. I think they are superstars for the next 10 years. And I think Kyle Pitts is going to be an absolute monster. Wherever that dude goes, he is going to put up numbers,
100%.
And he is going to be one of the best tight ends of all time.
100%.
I see no reality in which that isn't true because this dude is just different. And a lot of people will say a tight end at number 4. If I'm Atlanta, hell yeah, because I know that dude has Hall of Fame potential, okay? Any team that drafts Kyle Pitts, I don't care if he's a tight end. You know what that dude is? He's a W because you're getting wins and he is a weapon and you use him as a weapon. Line him up outside, line him up inside, light him up at tight end. You can line him up all across the field. You can get him quick bubble screens. Like you can use him in a variety of ways where he is going to be like so successful. So, hey, if it's the Cowboys who get him, I said this the other day, I was on a Philly podcast, boys versus versus Birds. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually a Philadelphia Eagles and Cowboys podcast. They asked me about, hey, like the Cowboys offense, it's already stacked. There are so many weapons all across the board. Like they were explosive, and they were putting up, when Dak was healthy last year, 30, 40 points a game. And I've always said they got to focus on defense, but if Pitts is there, you got to take him.
No,
And
I
that would
agree.
make that offense so electric. You know what it also does is kind of helps you financially in the future if you don't want to pay and get out of that Amari Cooper contract.
Yeah.
So it gives you that option too, because you still have CeeDee Lamb, Kyle Pitts, Tony
Gallup.
Pollard, who I actually think was better than Zeke last year,
Yeah.
and, Dak. You got to get that defense right, but that offense with Kyle Pitts, oh my goodness. As an Eagles fan, I'd be scared.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, but yeah, it would be a pretty awesome offense.
Yeah.
So, of the first 10 picks, I'll kind of piggyback from what you just went on as far as safe picks. Who are your 5 safest players in the first round, the entire first round, like of just projected first round picks?
Yeah, talking about players.
Yeah, just players in general. Yes.
Yeah. So Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase. I think Micah Parsons is going to be an unbelievable player as long as these character issues that have hovered around him don't affect him or ruin his career. I think if that dude, if hey, nothing's been, proven true or anything, but hey, if that dude is right, I think he can have a Devin White-like impact. I also like Penei Sewell. And I know we haven't talked a lot about cornerbacks, but I like a lot of the cornerbacks too. Like if Caleb Farley can stay healthy, he'll be really good. If Surtain is in the right situation, I think he'll be good. JC Horn is another guy who I think will be good as well. So I like those. I guess I kind of threw you like 5 to 8 players outside of like Trevor Lawrence, of course. So there's some like sure things that I think, as long as they can stay healthy and they're in a good situation, like they could be sure things for sure and have a lot of success.
Now, can we do the opposite end of that spectrum? 5 players that you think, if they're not in the right situation, will bust.
Yeah. I'm not like really high on Kwity Paye out of Michigan, the defensive end. I think he has some physical limitations and he hasn't put up huge numbers. Now, could he be a guy like Brandon Graham, who over a decade has been a very, very productive defensive end for the Eagles, one of the most underrated in the league, actually? He just got named to his first Pro Bowl. Like, could he turn into a guy like that? That's possible. And then like a guy like Gregory Russo, defensive end out of Miami. Like, some people have had concerns about his passion for football. So like if the dude's not totally bought in, you're not going to have success because your talent will only take you so far. This is the NFL, man. A bunch of big boys who are putting in a lot of work all the time. And to be great, like you need to put in work all the time and you need to be serious about your craft. So, hey, if there are concerns out there about a guy who doesn't really enjoy the game and, they collect the bag real quick, but they kind of just rely on their talent, they'll bust.
Okay. I would agree with Gregory Russo. That is one of the guys at the top of my list of guys that I'm really, really scared of. And he gives me a lot of Taco Charlton vibes. And I know he didn't go to things, but he gives me a lot of Taco Charlton vibes.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, look, how many defensive ends, if you or I were to be on a sideline at an NFL game and I was to say, yo, Chase, like point out the 5 most athletic dudes on the field right now, many times you would point to a defensive end because those dudes are like physical specimens, 6'6", cut 240, and unbelievable athletes. But like just because you're that build doesn't mean you're going to be a great defensive end. It comes down to technique. It comes down to craft. It comes down to moves and understanding defenses. That's why you see all these athletic freaks at the DN position, like a Taco Charlton, not work out, because it doesn't just come down to being like a next level athlete. Because at the NFL, everybody's a great athlete.
Right. No, exactly right. And that's my fear with Russo is I don't know that he loves the game. I just don't know. I don't know that he wants to put in the work. And
yeah,
that's why I think I know a lot of people are considering him a first round player, but I would be shocked if he's taken in the first round. I wouldn't be shocked if he falls out, but I don't know how you feel, but
Yeah, we'll see. I think, I think Kuiper dropped him out of the first round in his last mock that we covered a couple weeks, like maybe last week. Yeah, it was last week. So who knows? I mean, like a team could see a player like that and be like, hey, we'll bet on his potential. Let's see. But if he slides to the second, won't be stunned.
no, I agree. So going back to the Mac Jones thing, obviously we don't think he goes number 3 to the Niners. So in that situation, he doesn't go 3 to the Niners. How far do you think he falls?
I still think that we could see 5 quarterbacks in the first 5 picks.
Okay.
That's never happened before in NFL history. That's something that some people are talking about. And I think it's a realistic possibility. It's the most important position. If you get it right, you're going to be good for the next 10 years. And there is so much value there in getting your quarterback because that's the guy that you need to turn around your franchise to bring it to the next level. So teams realize that. Think about it. If you're running a business, you or I, and you saw an employee that was going to take your business from here to the next level and make you millions and millions of dollars and lead you to a lot of success in the business world, you would do whatever you have to do to get that employee. And you might even have to overpay a little bit, but as long as you get that guy or girl and they're going to take your business to the next level, you're doing it right. So a team might say, hey, Falcons, if you're going to stick with Matt Ryan, let's trade up to 4 and let's get a quarterback. At 5, hey, if 5 quarterbacks go off the board bat to bat, you know what that does? Like it slides the entire prospect list down the first round so teams can afford to trade back. So I think that could happen, man.
Yeah, I think so too. So this is the last thing we'll get you out of here on this.
Cool.
Give me your general sense of how many, let's see, what position do I want to pick? How many running backs do you think are going to go in the first round?
Ooh. So if we're doing betting odds,
because this is one that gets brought up a lot by guys. Like there's like maybe 2 guys there, but
no
it's like,
doubt, no doubt, no doubt. So like, I think it's fascinating to look at it from a betting odds standpoint. So if you were putting a line, an over under of how many running backs are going to go in the first round, honestly, like, would you put it at 0.5 or 1.5? Like that's what we're talking about. I mean, I could see none getting taken in the first round because they've kind of been devalued over the years because they're expendable and you never want to pay a running back after his first contract. Usually exceptions like Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey, Aaron Jones, they can be used in a variety of ways, right? So they bring a lot to the offense, but like, man, it would have to be like 0.5 to 1.5 is the over under. I might go under 1.5 if we're setting the line there. I think it'll be Najee Harris. And then I think teams can realize, okay, like let's just get Travis Etienne in the second round. Right. But if that's another running back to go, that'll be the second.
Okay. I like that. Chase, I know you say you don't got a lot of time, so I'll let you go on that. I appreciate you coming on. Do you want to go ahead and plug yourself before we get out of here?
Yeah, man, I had fun hopping on. I appreciate you asking me. Had a good time, man. Always good talking ball. Yeah, give me a follow on Twitter and Instagram at Chase_senior. Very simple. The question is that your real name is yes. No, I will not name my kid Chase to name him Chase Senior Jr. and me Chase Senior Senior. But the handle is very simple at Chase_senior, Twitter and Instagram. And we're doing a bunch of great things at Chat Sports. Covering the NFL, NBA, everything that's really happening in the sports world of significance. We cover it, and we have 240,000 plus subscribers on YouTube right now. We've already grown so much. We're going to continue to grow. Our NFL draft is a marquee event. We're the most watched NFL draft on YouTube, and the NBA draft got almost 100,000 live viewers last year. So like we're trying to beat those numbers, but as we look ahead, NFL draft coming up late April, NBA draft a couple months from now in July. Be on the lookout for that stuff.
All right. Chase, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Of course, bro. Appreciate it.
All right. Have a great day.
You too, man.